Okay, so hello everyone. My name is Marie-Ève Bérubé, and I'm the academic and project manager at Caldo. So before we begin the webinar today, I would like to make sure if everybody can hear me. If you can just mention yes in the chat box or in the Q&A section, that would be very helpful just to let me know. Okay. Perfect. So it seems that everybody can hear me. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining today's webinar on learning where to start if you're interested in graduate studies in Canada. So today's webinar will be basically to cover, first of all, Caldo and the services that we offer. I will also provide an overview of the Caldo member universities, some information on the general requirements that you need to keep in mind when looking for master's or PhD programs at our member universities, as well as some brief information on ways to fund your graduate studies. This is part of a three-part series specifically for students from Peru. So at the end of the presentation, there will be a short survey to fill out if you have 2 to 3 minutes. On the survey, you will also have the invitation to the next webinar of this series, where we will invite members of PRONAVEC with whom we have an agreement in Peru, and they will provide specific information about the Beca Presidente de la República. So this webinar will be later in November, but all the information will be included on our website, which I will discuss shortly, as well as in the survey. So during this presentation, I am going to shut off the camera just so that I can go over the presentation with you guys. So first of all, what is Caldo? So unlike most other organizations, Caldo focuses solely on Latin American students. Our expertise throughout Latin America helps us understand what students are looking for when studying abroad, and we can help them find the best programs at our member universities based on their research interests. So we cooperate with a broad range of international partners, including government agencies and educational institutions, to establish agreements that facilitate higher education mobility from Latin American countries to our 10 member universities. So in particular, Caldo is partnered with sponsoring agencies in 9 Latin American countries: Brazil, Chile, Colombia, Ecuador, Mexico, Panama, Paraguay, Peru, and Uruguay. We represent one contact for access to information to all of our member universities. Our member universities are comprised of the University of Alberta, Calgary, Dalhousie University, Université Laval, McMaster University, the University of Ottawa, University of Saskatchewan, the University of Toronto, the University of Waterloo, and Western University. I will go over each of these universities in more detail later in today's presentation. So here you have a map of Canada where where you can see that our universities are located, from Alberta all the way to the East Coast in Nova Scotia. Now, if you're interested in finding graduate studies programs abroad, but you're not sure yet which destination, here are some reasons why choose graduate studies in Canada. So firstly, Canadian university degrees are recognized by employers worldwide. The Canadian universities support your journey to success. The Canadian education offers excellent value, so much cheaper than graduate studies in the UK, for example, Australia, or the United States. As well, Canadian cities are affordable. Canada provides access to world-class research opportunities, and Canadians are known to be welcoming, inclusive, and multicultural. Why choose a Caldo university in particular? The first reason is highest academic standards in teaching and research. Our member universities offer a comprehensive range of academic disciplines, expertise, as well as complementary research strengths. They offer hundreds of programs, including doctorates, thesis and course-based master's degrees, as well as professional master's programs. Each university offers personalized counseling services for candidates seeking admission, from placement services, documentation, connecting with supervisors, etc. And each of the member universities have a language school and facilities at all of our member universities, where you can take short and long-term language courses. So at Caldo, we are the leading academic gateway to Canada for international students. As I said, we represent a single point of contact to the top universities in Canada. Our personalized services allow candidates to receive detailed information on programs of study that you're interested in, as well as support with the application process. So the services that we offer include, for example, identifying programs of study that align best with your interests, assisting you in identifying the admission requirements and the application deadlines for your program of interest, assisting you in identifying and gathering all of the required academic documents that you will need to prepare your application. And we provide support in navigating the application process. So you've decided to begin your studies and look for programs at Caldo member universities. The first step is to find a graduate program. As you can see here on at the Caldo website, there is a section, Steps to Apply. And so as you can see, step number one is finding a program. So some basic information before looking for a program, whether it be a master's and a PhD. In Canada, the Canadian academic system, at the university level, after the undergraduate program, also known as the bachelor's degree, which is typically 4 years, students can continue to graduate studies through a master's degree. There are two types of master's programs. So one is professional or course-based programs, such as MBAs or Masters of Engineering that are course-based, for example. Those programs are not typically suitable for PhDs. The other option at the master's level is the research option, which is thesis-based. Those programs will typically be 2 years, and those are the programs that can then be followed by a doctoral PhD program, which is between 4 and 5 years. So here you have some general requirements. In terms of choosing between a master's and a PhD, previous studies are going to be taken into consideration. So for example, if you're looking at doing a master's program, typically you will need to have completed a 4-year bachelor's degree or the equivalent from a recognized institution. In general, if you are looking for a doctoral program, so a PhD, you will need to have completed a research-based master's program. Professional masters are usually not eligible for students who are interested in continuing to doctoral studies. Again, also in terms of general requirements. So on average, at least for Peru, the majority of the Caldo member universities will require students to have at least 14 out of 20, so equivalent to a 3.3 GPA on a 4.0 point system. This will give you an idea whether or not admission is possible. One thing to keep in mind, however, is that the admission requirements differ from one program to the other and from one university to the other. So it is really important to have a look at the specific requirements for the program you are interested in applying to. But before you start looking for the programs, if you know that you have at least 14 out of 20, then you can continue the process. There will also be requirements in terms of language tests. So students who have not completed their previous degrees in an institution where English is the official language of instruction, those students will need to present results to an English language proficiency test. So for example, the TOEFL or the IELTS tests. There are additional tests that are being considered at each university, and there are also specific tests right now that are exceptionally considered given some centers being closed in different areas of the world due to the current COVID situation. So in general, the TOEFL score, the minimum for admission to English programs, will be 86. But in general, it can go between 90, 92 for the internet-based test. And for the paper test, we're looking at a minimum score of 600 on average. In terms of IELTS, the minimum score that is required is usually around 6.5. It can be higher depending on the program. So again, it is really important to have a look at the specific requirements of the program that you will be interested in applying to. In terms of French language proficiency, this would be required in programs that are offered in French. So for example, at the Université Laval, or in French programs offered at the University of Ottawa. In general, tests that are being accepted for those programs is the Test de Français International, or the DALF or DELF. But again, it's important to confirm either through us at the Caldo office or directly with the university what are the minimum scores that are required. So once you have determined that, okay, you're ready to continue with a master's or a PhD, and you have the minimum GPA at least and language proficiency scores, the first step is then to identify the program that you're interested in by using the program browser that is located on the Caldo website. So you can enter under program name any types of programs that you're looking for, whether it be civil engineering, accounting, math. It could be, you can type just parts of words. It doesn't have to be the exact title of the program you're looking for, and it will populate a list of all of the programs that are offered at Caldo member universities, unless you specify the university you're interested in and the degree level. So that would be master's or PhD. This is where we invite you to complete the contact form on the Caldo website. So I will just return quickly here. As you can see, when you enter our website, there is a small box on the lower right-hand corner, which is request a contact. and that will bring you to this short form here where you can indicate your first name, last name, the country you are from, the type of program you're looking for, the level as well, and some basic information on your research interests. And this will send us a contact request email, and we can then get in touch with you to continue the process, to start looking at the different programs and helping you identify the best program based on your interest, your research interests. So in general, once you have submitted the Caldo, the contact form, we will respond to your email and request some basic information. So normally we will ask you for your academic CV. This is different from a regular professional CV. There is a section on our website where you can find the specific information on the difference between an academic CV and a professional CV. In general, one of the important factors on this document is to highlight your research experience and your academic background prior to or more. It's more important to highlight your academic background and your research background than your actual work experience. We will also ask you for your language proficiency test scores if you have them. So again, ideally TOEFL or IELTS. And we will also ask you for your academic transcripts. Ideally, they should be translated in English, but if they're not at this stage, you can send them in their original language. And your copies of your degree certificates can also be in their original language at this stage. Because for this purpose, we use these documents basically to provide a preliminary assessment and let you know if you would be eligible to the programs that you're interested or that you've asked information about. We can also provide alternative programs, for example, program options. If, for example, the one program you are interested in, you don't quite meet the requirements, then we can use the documents that you've provided to suggest similar programs that are for which you would be eligible. So again, in general, in terms of graduate programs at Caldo member universities, the deadline for Canadian students or domestic students and international students is different. So in general, for programs that start in September, the deadline for international students can be as early as December of the year before. So one thing I should clarify here is, in general, in Canada, the academic year begins in September, which is the fall semester. There is then the winter semester that starts usually in January, and there can be the spring and or summer semesters, which are May or June. And one academic year is normally consisted of 3 semesters, so fall, winter, spring, summer. On average, most of the programs, or at least all of the programs, have fall admission, so September 1st enrollment. Some programs do allow students to begin in January, but that will depend on each of the programs individually. And others will also even admit students in the summer semester, but again, that has to be determined on a case-by-case basis, depending on the program that you're interested in. So, for example, right now, students that are interested in starting their programs in September 2021, the time to start applying and looking at different programs is now, in preparation for the application deadlines, which could be between December of 2020 all the way up to March of 2021. So once you've determined the program that you're interested in applying to, financing your studies is going to be the next thing that you want to consider. So as I mentioned earlier, at Caldo, we negotiate agreements with funding agencies in Latin America, which offer scholarships at the master's and or the PhD level. So in Peru, Caldo has an agreement with PRONAVEC for master's and PhD scholarships. There are full scholarships that include travel costs, tuition, as well as living expenses, and additional funds that can be allocated depending on the individual situation. So under the Caldo PRONAVEC agreement, research master's programs at some of our universities are offered at a reduced tuition rate. So for example, at the University of Alberta, the University of Calgary, Western University, and the University of Saskatchewan, research master's programs, so thesis-based programs, will be offered at the domestic tuition rate for students who are granted a scholarship from PRONAVEC under Beca Presidente de la República. One thing, so that's it for masters. For PhD programs, all students that are applying to a PhD program with a scholarship will see their program offered at the domestic tuition rate. So in terms of the scholarships offered by PRONAVEC, one thing that is important to keep in mind is that students must apply to the Canadian university first and receive their letter of admission before they can apply to the scholarship. So basically, the scholarship calls of PRONAVEC usually are open around March or April. So in order to apply for the next competition that will most likely open in March of 2021, you must apply to the Canadian university before the deadline that we saw in the previous slide, so perhaps December, January of this year. And once you've received your application letter, you can then prepare your application for the scholarship. Now, I do want to reiterate again that this webinar being the first webinar of a three-part series, I do invite you to register to the second webinar, where we will have PRONAVEC discuss in particular the details of Beca Presidente, as well as the guidelines, what are offered, rules and regulations, etc., which are crucial for you to know if you're interested in applying for the scholarship in order to finance your studies. So now an overview of all of the Caldo member universities. So we first have the University of Alberta. It is one of Canada's top 5 research universities, and it ranks among the top 100 in the world. The University of Alberta is located in Edmonton, which is the capital of the province of Alberta, and it is a world leader in energy research, as well as in medicine, virology, nanotechnology, and agriculture. As one of Canada's top teaching and research universities, the University of Alberta has an international reputation for excellence across the humanities, sciences, creative arts, business, engineering, and health sciences. So you can see here the research excellence in the areas of energy and environment, health, science and technology, public policy and society, as well as arts and humanities. In terms of city life, located along the banks of the river valley in Alberta's capital city of Edmonton, the university is minutes from the downtown center. Edmonton is a major economic and cultural center in Western Canada and home to 1 million people and just a few hours away from the Rocky Mountains. Then we have the University of Calgary. The University of Calgary is one of Canada's top research universities and is located also in Alberta in the city of Calgary. It was founded in 1966, and the university serves 30,000 students, including 6,000 graduate students, and it offers over 150 graduate programs. It's one of the top 200 universities worldwide, and it stands out among other Canadian universities in how it actively engages students in leadership development in all areas. So from the arts, athletics, science, medicine, engineering, volunteerism, and business. In terms of research excellence, the University of Calgary is known for energy innovation for today and tomorrow, human dynamics in a changing world, engineering solutions for health, new earth space technologies, infections, inflammation and chronic disease, brain and mental health. In terms of city life, Calgary has a big energy coupled with friendly hospitality, which makes it one of the most livable and safest city in Canada. You can also explore some of our country's most beautiful natural sites in the nearby Rocky Mountains and Banff National Park. Then we have the University of, we have Dalhousie University, so one of Canada's most respected universities. Dalhousie has an international reputation for academic excellence, innovation, and rich student experience. It is located in Halifax, Nova Scotia, which the city is known, it's one of Canada's fastest growing cities and home to innovative tech and entrepreneurial communities, as well as thriving financial and ocean sectors. So Halifax has everything you'd expect from a big city within a safe and close-knit community. And the agricultural campus is located an hour away from Halifax in Bible Hill. The university blends world-class academic programs with breakthrough thinking and leading-edge research. They offer over 140 graduate programs across 13 faculties. The university also has 26 research centers and institutes, and their research strengths include sustainable ocean, clean technology, energy and the environment, healthy people, healthy communities, healthy populations, food security, as well as culture, society, community development. We then move to Quebec City, where you will find the Université Laval, which is the first French language university in the Americas and is one of Canada's great research universities. It has 45,000 students and 3,300 professors active in 17 faculties. The Université Laval offers first-rate teaching and world-class research in more than 500 different programs. Top areas of research include Nordic and Arctic research, health, optics, photonics, artificial intelligence, and sustainable development. In terms of city and student life, Université Laval is a city with European charm, bordered by the St. Lawrence River. It has been named a UNESCO World Heritage Site treasure. It offers an exceptional quality of life. It stands out at the forefront as one of the safest cities in the country. It is located in the province of Quebec and is mainly French speaking. Then we have McMaster University. McMaster offers more than 100 doctoral and master's levels program, spanning across fields of science, engineering, business and health, humanities and social sciences. The university is home to more than 70 research centers and institutes and is the only Canadian host site of a United Nations university, Institute for Water, Environment and Health. Research strengths at McMaster. So you have human health and social determinants, Indigenous research and inquiry, sustainability for global prosperity, materials, and the built society. The university is composed of students and faculty from over 98 countries worldwide and is among the top 75 universities in the world, according to the Times Higher Education 2020. The University of Ottawa is located in Canada's capital city in Ottawa and is North America's largest bilingual university. It has several subjects that are ranked in the top 100 QS World Ranking. and is consistently ranked among the top 10 Canadian research universities. It operates 40 research centers and is a leader in medical photonics and catalysis research. It is also famous for promoting campus environmental sustainability measures. So research excellence are in e-society, health, molecular and environmental science, Canada, and the world. In terms of student life, Ottawa is Canada's capital city, as I mentioned, with many museums and national cultural centers. The Rideau Canal, a UNESCO World Heritage Site, runs through Ottawa besides the University of Ottawa. And there are boat rides in the summer, and in the winter it becomes the world's largest ice skateway. We then go to the University of Saskatchewan, which is located in Saskatchewan, in Saskatoon. It is the core of a dynamic research hub centered in the growing city of Saskatoon. Through a unique cluster of world-class research centers, including Global Institutes for Food and Water Security, the Canadian Light Source Synchrotron, the Crop Development Center, and the Vaccine and Infectious Disease centers, the University of Saskatchewan is working to address critical challenges faced by people locally and around the world. So their research excellence are in the areas of water security and freshwater resources, food and bioproducts for a sustainable future, veterinary and animal sciences, energy and mineral resources, as well as synchrotron sciences. As the largest city in the province of Saskatchewan, Saskatoon offers the amenities of a large urban center, along with the friendliness and the accessibility of a smaller city. Here you can have a true Canadian experience in a city that is safe, affordable, and student-friendly. Then we have the University of Toronto. It is consistently ranked among the world's top 25 universities and is recognized as a leading research hub for all major disciplines. Since its founding in 1827, the university has grown to comprise 16 faculties and schools, more than 100 departments, and over 170 research centers and institutes. Toronto is Canada's largest and most diverse city, with more than 160 languages spoken. The city's parks, ravines, and Lake Ontario provide outdoor recreation opportunities year-round. In terms of the university itself, their offering of graduate programs leverages this research and innovation excellence in all fields for the benefit of their students. There are over 3,000 international graduate students from over 100 countries who call the University of Toronto home and are pursuing programs in humanities, social sciences, physical science, and life sciences. Their top research strengths are in the area of medical science, especially regenerative medicine, philosophy, medieval and Renaissance studies, computer science and engineering, especially machine learning, as well as urban studies. Then we have the University of Waterloo, which is at the forefront of innovation and is home to world-changing research in areas ranging from quantum computing and nanotechnology to clinical psychology, engineering, the environment, and health science research. The University of Waterloo offers more than 190 graduate programs and is consistently ranked as the top comprehensive research university in Canada. In 2020, its computer science program ranked 24th and its mathematics department ranked 41st globally. So their top research strengths are in particular mathematical sciences and computer science, quantum information and nanotechnology, manufacturing and devices, discovery and design of materials and systems, environment and energy, health and well-being, society, culture, and governance. In terms of the city of Waterloo itself, it is known for its forward-thinking and vibrant student population. Waterloo is safe, student-focused city. You'll find parks and trails and many in-town cultural activities. Waterloo borders on farm country while hosting a growing technology center. Finally, we have Western University. Western is located in London, Ontario, which is known as the Forest City for its many parks and green areas. The City of London offers the safety and charm of a small community with the diversity, career opportunities, and convenience of a big city. It is located approximately 200 kilometers west of Toronto, so still easily accessible to the big city while remaining more of a small cultural and economic center of southwestern Ontario. So students studying in Western University have the choice between 160 graduate degree programs across 11 faculties and benefit from internationally recognized faculty members, excellent research facilities, and high quality programming. Western is home to world-renowned research centers, such as the Robarts Research Institute, the Wind Engineering, Energy and Environment Research Institute, and the Brain and Mind Institute. Their top research strengths include neuroscience, brain and mind imaging, international and intercultural relations, wind engineering and natural disaster mitigation, environment sustainability and green energy, as well as materials and biomaterials. So this concludes this first webinar with a brief overview of each of the Caldo member universities and the cities in which they are located. We invite you, if you are interested in pursuing graduate studies at our member universities, to fill out the short contact form on our website, which is www.caldo.ca/contact. And we can start the process of finding you the best graduate program here in Canada, and then applying possibly for the scholarship from Pronabec, so that we can see you on our campuses, hopefully in September of 2021. So now I would like to take this opportunity to answer some of the questions that have been posed in the Q&A section of the website. My colleague Juan Jose will be joining the conversation to go through the different questions. So you are invited to, if possible, ask your questions in English, but if not, you can ask them in Spanish, and Juan Jose will be able to translate them for me. Unfortunately, my Spanish is not as is basic. Let's put it this way. So Juan Jose, the floor is yours.
Hi Maria, hi everyone. Thank you again for joining us today on the webinar. So yeah, we've been receiving a few questions so far. So I'll be asking you, Maria, some of them. Okay. So let's start a little bit with the English tests, and there's a few questions about language requirements.
Okay.
There's one from Katia. She's asking, you talked a little bit about COVID real fast. She's talking about due to the current context, does the TOEFL home edition is valid for Caldo universities?
Yes, so thank you, Katia. That is actually a very good question. Indeed, in most of our universities, the TOEFL home edition is valid exceptionally right now during the pandemic as a requirement. In cases where the TOEFL home edition is not accepted, there is also the Duolingo English test that can be presented. So in either case, I can provide some detailed information depending on which university through the contact form. Once we start the email conversation, I can let you know exactly. But in general, I can tell you that most of our universities either accept the TOEFL home edition or the Duolingo English test.
Perfect, thank you. Then we have two similar questions from Marco and Jorge. They both want to know, and Jorge has a master's degree from an American university. So they're asking if Jorge's asking if he has already a degree from an American university, does he need to take the TOEFL again, or?
Nope, that is also a very good question. Thank you for that. Usually the language proficiency test scores are required only if students have not completed their previous study in an institution, a recognized institution, where English is the language of instruction. So in the majority of cases, students who have completed their degrees in the United States or in the UK or in Australia, they will be exempt from having to present a language proficiency test scores.
And is the GPA requirement the same as an American university, or do they vary?
No, the GPA actually differs from the minimum required GPA differs from one program to the next and from one university to the next. So in some cases, some programs will have lower requirements, and in other programs, for example, programs at the University of Toronto that are very, very much in demand, in most of those cases, the GPA requirement will be much higher, as well as the minimum language test score will also be much higher than at other universities.
Perfect. There's also, I think there's a bit of confusion between the English and the French requirement.
Okay.
Some people are asking if the French requirement is mandatory, or if they have to present both, or if they can only apply with one of them.
No, I should have clarified that. So when the program is offered in English, the language test score that will need to be presented is of your proficiency of English. You will only need to present your proficiency in French if you are applying to French programs at the Université Laval or at the University of Ottawa.
Perfect. There's a question here from Jorge. He's asking if normally PhDs are fully funded, or if they can get a stipend besides the full tuition from a TA or an RA.
Those would be specific questions for the research supervisor. For students who are applying for scholarships from Pronabec, they are full scholarships, so they will include the tuition, the payment of the tuition fees, as well as a living stipend, a monthly allowance. However, for students who are not going to be applying for a scholarship, then financing your studies is mandatory usually through a TA or through funding offered directly by the research supervisor. So this is something that would be covered in the next webinar, but I can add some information here in terms of applying to graduate studies. When you're applying to master's or PhD programs, research-based, a research supervisor is mandatory. So you will need to have a supervisor that accepts to supervise your master's or your PhD thesis. However, whether this supervisor is required before you can complete your application or after depends on the university. In many cases, you will need to have secured a research supervisor before you can complete your application, or you can complete your application while you're looking for a research supervisor, but the university will not be able to provide admission until you have a research supervisor who has accepted to fund your studies. So when reaching out to research supervisors to let them know that you'd be interested in working with them, it is very important to mention whether or not you are applying for a scholarship, or whether you will need funding from their research envelope. In many cases, if you mention that you will be seeking funding from your home country and bringing your sponsorship, you may have more facility securing a supervisor quickly, since they themselves have very limited funding. So if you're not bringing a scholarship, then they will need to provide you with funding, which may make it more difficult if they don't have funding themselves.
Perfect. There's another question from Christian. He says that at least in Europe, the application process are not published on the university websites, and they're managed directly by the faculties. Is it the case? Is it the same case for the Canadian or Caldo universities?
No, the Caldo member universities, each of our universities have very clear information on their website for prospective students. So students who are interested in completing masters and PhDs at their universities, they will indicate clearly the application process. They will usually also include a section specifically for international students, because the application process for international students, it can differ from the process for domestic students. In particular, the reason why the application deadline is a lot sooner for international students than for domestic students is to give enough time for the students to then get all of their visa requirements, their permits in time for them to arrive to Canada. So in this case, there are on each of the university websites, there are general admission and application process information, but depending on the program you're selecting, there will be specific information about that particular program with the exact requirements for that program, as well as the deadline for that program. That is all information that we can help you find, and we can provide this information as well once we are in touch with you via email.
Great. You talked a little bit about the the application for visas and all that. There's a question that is asking if Caldo also supports students with the application process to the study permit and similar documents.
No, and that is important to mention this here. We are not allowed to provide any type of information regarding visa process, application, or any type of advice. This is information that can only be provided directly by people that have been accredited by Immigration, Refugee, Citizenship Canada. Now, I did mention at the beginning of this series, of this webinar, that this is a 3-part series. So the second webinar will be in collaboration with Pronabec regarding the scholarship. The third webinar, which will be in December, will be in collaboration with members of the Embassy of Canada in Peru, who will provide information specifically about the role of the embassy, the services that they can offer, as well as general information for students who are interested in studying in Canada, the types of permits you will need, the documents that you'll need to present, and also general information on processing times, etc. All of this with the caveat that right now it is COVID, so things are slightly different, but they will still provide general information about, under normal circumstances, here are the things that need to be taken into consideration, and here are the steps to follow. So I do invite you to also register for the third webinar, which will be in December.
Great. There's a few questions about marketing. People are asking if Pronabec finance marketing master's program.
No, in general, Pronabec does not fund MBAs or programs relating to business administration. Those, however, are usually clearly indicated on the guidelines of that year's call. But in general, at least since I've been working with Pronabec, I've not seen them fund master's programs that or programs at all that are related specifically to commerce and business.
Great. There's maybe a little specific question from Jorge. He's asking that if he has a civil engineering degree but a background in computer science, can he apply to a machine learning PhD? Can you, if you know anything about that, or direct them to somewhere where they can look for more information?
That would be a case-by-case situation. So Jorge, I would invite you to fill out the contact form. And once I begin the conversation with you, I will ask you for some background. And then depending on the program you're interested in, I'll be able to see whether or not your background would be suitable. In general, though, it should not be as much of a concern, because there are subjects that are actually, that can be that have links in different areas or different departments. So it is possible, but that would be on a case-by-case basis.
Great. There's another question from Milton. He's asking, from all the Caldo universities that you talked about, are any of them provide English programs for students to fulfill the adequate English level?
Actually, all of the Caldo member universities have different English programs that are offered at their language schools. They do offer programs for thesis writing or English for graduate studies. They offer different sorts of English programs. However, one thing I should mention, though, is that in terms of the scholarship from PRONAVEC, it does not cover language programs that would be required prior to the start of the graduate programs. But in short, yes, they do offer the English courses specifically for academics or for specific research areas. Some universities have English for engineering, or so those are the types of programs that they offer. And there is on our website a section under the tools to apply. You will find an icon for the language schools, which will link you to each of the university's independent language schools.
Awesome. There's a few questions that are asking, about specific programs and which universities are the best. Would you mind, maybe sharing your screen with the Caldo website and showing people how the program search browser works, so they can, go there and see if there's a program that they're interested in, and see if there's a master's or PhD available in the Caldo universities?
Absolutely. Actually, one of the things that I should mention, however, is that our website on the program browser, it does not necessarily let you know which university is better for that program. But because I'm assuming that this person is asking in terms of ranking due to the fact that it's a requirement from PRONAVEC, they allocate specific points to specific rankings. So that is one thing that I can help you determine. Or you can also look for your specific program on the QS ranking website. If you look at QS, you can look for either ranking by university, or you can also look by ranking by subject. But if you get in touch with me via the short form and let me know the program that you're interested in, I can let you know at our member universities which one has the highest ranking for that program, and then the ranking at each of the other universities as well.
Great. Yeah, because there's a few questions that are asking, about what's the best university for clinical neurophysiology. So yeah, we recommend everyone to go and contact us through the contact form if you want detailed information on it and every program that you're looking for. Yeah.
Absolutely. So thank you, Juan Jose. I think I'm just going to go really quickly now with some of the last questions that I'm seeing here.
Yep.
Before we conclude today's webinar. There's a lot of very good questions, and I do apologize if we haven't had a chance to go through all of them. Quickly, however, I do want to mention that the recording of this webinar will be available on our website. So on the Caldo website under news and events, if you hover over the word news and events, you will see a section called webinars. And there you will find all of our previous webinars, which you might be interested in. Some are specifically for in collaboration with particular universities. There are also webinars in collaboration with researchers and with funding partners. So in this case, this webinar will be included on this web page. Now, there was also some questions about the cost of living in Canada and the costs of different programs. So unfortunately, this is not something that has a one answer. The cost of living in Canada can be very, very different. For example, if you were to go to the University of Toronto and live in Toronto, you can expect to pay a lot more than if you go to the University of Saskatchewan and live in Saskatoon, for example. Also, for example, the University of Ottawa, which is located in Ottawa, Ontario, is right across the river from the city of Gatineau in Quebec. So for a lot of us that actually work in Ottawa, we live in Gatineau, which is French, Francophone, but there is very, very bilingual, and the cost of living in Quebec or in Gatineau is a lot cheaper than living in Ottawa itself, for example. So depending on which university you're interested in applying to, the cost of living will be different, and the cost of the program will be different as well. So even if you are offered a scholarship that covers your tuition, the domestic tuition rate at the University of Alberta is not the same than the domestic tuition rate at Western University or at the University of Saskatchewan. If you are not getting a scholarship and paying the full international tuition fee, again, there will be massive differences between programs at Dalhousie University in Halifax versus programs at the University of Toronto. So those are all, that's all information that you can also find on our website under the section tools to apply. There is information there on the different universities, the international grade equivalencies, videos, finding and contacting a research supervisor, but you will also find information on coming to Canada, living in Canada, as well as on the individual cities. And if you have any specific questions about a particular city or a particular university, you're more than welcome to get in touch with us via the contact form on our website, and we'll be in touch with you within the next 2-3 business days. So this basically takes up all the time that we had today for the webinar. I do want to thank every single one of you for taking the time today to be with us and to hear about the graduate programs and the Caldo member universities. Now, if we can ask you to take just 2 to 3 minutes to complete the survey that will be available on your screen. This actually helps us in answering and creating new webinar series that offer the information that you are specifically looking for. And again, you are more than welcome to review this webinar. The recording will be available sometime tomorrow on our webinar section. And you can also share it with your contacts or with your friends or colleagues. And again, any question you may have, we are your one contact person for access to the 10-member universities. So do not hesitate to get in touch with us, and we'll answer your questions gladly. Thank you, everybody, and we hope to see you during our next webinar with Pronabic. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.